Welcome back to Supercoach. I've decided not to do the Essendon preview today as honestly, I just needed a break. The previews take a lot of time to research, and this is my 20th daily video now, so it has been a lot, and I'm still committed to the streak. Obviously, I'm going to keep it up until round 0, or at least the best I can, but it is getting harder. And although I'm absolutely loving doing these videos and engaging with all the viewers, I just don't want it to become a chore. So I've got something slightly different today than a preview. I said in the last video that I'd do this, so here it is, I guess. So it's what CBA percentage is each ruck sweet spot. So I've done this with the midfielders already. So if you watch that, yeah, you'd know already what this is going to be about. But how does this kind of thing help us, you're probably wondering. So we can obviously look at where a ruck scores best in terms of like percentage, CBA percentage here, and if they're likely to increase, decrease, or keep around that same percentage next year, or this year, I should say. So like, it's all good to think I'm picking X ruck because they should get more CBAs, but what I'm trying to find out here is, does it actually help them to score more if they are getting CBAs? The short answer is no, not in every case. I really find the rucks intriguing because it's basically, they're playing their own game within the bigger game. Like, they really only are against each other. So yeah, I'm working on another video specifically for rucks, but I'll discuss that at the end. So as usual with this, there's no sub-affected or finals games included here. When I say sub-affected, I mean, like, you know, if they've missed most of the game and stuff. If they're kind of around their average TOG, then I don't bother taking it out. The red brackets here, like these red scores, they're outlier averages. So these are single game averages. And the green ones are the ruckman's sweet spot, or whatever you want to call it. And then up here we've got the percentage brackets. Yeah, I should explain that. I should have explained it better, I think. Not everyone obviously would have watched that midfielder video. Anyway, I'll run through a few of them. Start with King Gorn at the top. He is nuts. Like, this is insane. This 90 plus, like this bracket here, with this 152.2 average score, this is off of 4 games, and you probably think, oh, well, 4 games, that's not much. It's not a huge spread of data, but to score that average in any 4 games that's insane. So he's currently averaging, like last year, 85% CBAs. So he's unlikely to raise that up to here at his age. He's 32, so if anything, we're probably going to see a small drop. But I'd even happily take a slight CBA reduction that gets him down to here if that's what he's going to score. But yeah, it's great wherever he's going to be. Like, he's still going to be up here somewhere. And even if he does go at 115 average, that's still going to put him pretty safely, I think, in the top 3 rucks this year. Like, it would have easily put him in there last year as second. So yep, all hail the king. Cherry, he's a bit different. This 70% range here, he's only got 2 games of data there and 3 games in the 90 plus. So here is where he gets like the vast majority of his scores. So that's probably a truer reflection. And his CBA average is 84% for last year. So obviously it's not going to get him to his best scores according to this, but it's still allowing for some pretty wild scoring. They're really good numbers here for him, but I am somewhat suspicious at the moment that him beating up on second rucks late in the season and inexperienced rucks and stuff, it really inflated him, and he's kind of overpriced now. I'm going to have to look into it, and this will be one of the really important ones in that other video I said I'm going to do, which again, I'll explain that at the end. You get to Rowan Marshall. The big question with him in Supercoach sense is he going to go forward once he's fit? He's obviously injured at the moment, and I think he's going to miss round 1. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. At least the start of the season. So he's had 11 games in this 90 plus bracket, which is crazy. He must be super fit. So that's really helped him to pump that average score up. His CBA average was 85%, and that was brought down by a couple of games where he was in these 2 lower brackets here, which are quite low for a first ruck. But I think like this is down here. This might also be what we're going to see if he starts splitting with Boyd. So yeah, the thought is that he goes forward and Boyd may become the first ruck, which is quite crazy, really. But St Kilda, they've got a pretty weak forward line, and there's obviously the injury crisis. So given that the Crom have them in round 1, and this is obviously going on tangent, but I'm absolutely licking my lips here as a Crom supporter. I think Crom should easily put him away, and I'm hoping that Thilthorpe, who's my pod, he can kick a bag because, no disrespect to Caminiti and that, but I don't think they're quite like elite defenders. Anyway, back to Marshall. Yeah, this combined with the current injury, I think it's a huge red flag just because of Boyd. Like, if Boyd is there at all, he's not getting nowhere near this. Like, Marshall's not. So, I guess on the flip side, if he could increase his CBAs up to here, like 90 plus, then he would actually be like a value pick. Or according to this anyway. He's got a career high of 87% CBAs in 2023. So that's not too far off. So I never say never, I guess. But yeah, for all those reasons, I'm not going to look at him. Nankervis, he's skewed as the sweet spot for him. This is only 2 games worth of data. So it's low, but it does qualify. One of those games, though, it was an impressive 120 against Gawn, and Gawn's not the easiest one to score against. So it does give it more credibility. But I think he's another one who's more or less, he's going to score more with more CBAs. When I was doing this, the research for it, and the first four of these ruckmen all came back like this, I thought, okay, like it looks like they're all just going to be this way. I guess it makes sense, but yeah, it started to get a little more interesting from here. And I guess it shouldn't be too much of a shock because English isn't like the other ruckman. He scores around the ground mostly instead of like in actual ruck contests. So getting more of them, it's not really going to help him, as we can see here. He's better off, I think, just preserving his energy to spread rather than wrestle the big boys, because he's still quite lightly built, I think. So he averaged 82% CBAs last year, and that was down from 84% in 2023. So another drop like that, and according to this, he could find himself in this sweet spot bracket here, where owners would want to see him. To be honest, though, I think it seems pretty unlikely with the Jamara issues, and if he's not going to be there, then Darcy's likely going to be kept forward a lot, and so yeah, English will probably go up rather than down, I would say. Nothing here to report with Witt. I don't think he's Supercoach relevant anymore, but I included all the rucks just to give a fair picture. Grundy's season average for CBAs was 79%, so he was dangerously close to being here in his sweet spot, but I don't see him increasing that any further now that he's 30, and yeah, he just doesn't look the same. I don't know, let me know what you think about that one, but I don't think Grundy is a pick anymore. Like, I don't think he's terribly Supercoach relevant. I think last year was the time to get him, and if you didn't, then yeah, that's probably it. I don't think anyone should be picking him from here. So my man Cameron, he's got the lowest sweet spot of any of the rucks here, but it's a bit like the case with Marshall. There's only 2 games worth of scoring in this average right here. Maybe I need to raise the minimum game criteria for this thing, but it might be different. The good thing here, though, is that he can clearly score and score decently with like a wide range of percentages. So post-buy, he was averaging 77% CBAs, and that's when he was scoring his best. So looking at this, it makes me more confident about my prediction of him doing 110 to 115 this year. But I guess as well, if he could somehow get to 90% plus, that would be nice too, because yeah, obviously it's probably a truer reflection of where he's at. Meek's pretty straightforward. He's clearly a more CBAs equals more points type operator, so not much to say there. TDK, he's all over the shop. He was getting 80 to 90% CBAs though, so here in every single one of those insane games that he had mid-year, like when he put that run of, I think it was like 6 or 7 games together. So there's nothing here that we don't already know really, but yeah, it just comes down to, with him, one thing, like, is Voss going to decide to Pito or not to Pito? Like, seriously, just give us an indication. That would be nice. Sean Darcy, he's injured again, but it's no surprise to see that his top bracket is his best scoring. Yeah. Big O, he's not really relevant in terms of scoring, but he is a pain in the ass because he's so restrictive. I haven't done it yet, but I would guess that he is the most restrictive ruckman in the AFL. He is a little bit interesting though, I think, because his scores steadily decline after this 80% mark. But yeah, I don't have too much to say about him. Briggs the same. Like, I don't know, there's people that think Briggs might bounce back, but I think it's a little bit, it's the way the Giants play now. It doesn't really suit him as much. Might have to look into that one a bit more. Jackson, I just included him because he was one of the top ones, but I was just a little bit curious too to see what he would look like here. And yeah, it's a bit of a shit show to look at, same as TDK. So his stocks may have risen though, depending on the Darcy injury. I guess it could be Reedy as well. Who knows? And obviously Flynn is included. So as always with him, we don't really have a lot to go on. I think this though, it shows us enough that if he can stay fit and get the majority of the CBAs from BJ Williams, so like even if it's a 60-40 split kind of thing, what do we want Flynn to make? He's probably got to average like 80 or something. So this looks pretty safe that he can probably do it anywhere in here, I'd say, or around the mark. I'm still not sold on him as a pick though, and I'm not completely off him. He's still in my team, but I don't know. I'm definitely going colder on him, I think. So overall, like, there's nothing too groundbreaking here in this set of data, like across the board. But hopefully you guys can have a look at it and get something out of it yourself. Something I did notice in this was just about every ruck, when I was taking their their averages for the sweet spot here, pretty much everyone's sweet spot included a West Coast game. So that clearly skews things a bit. Just depends like how many, like the CBA percentage when you played against West Coast is pretty much going to determine where this is, because it just blows it out of the water. So with that in mind, I'm going to do a video really soon, which it'll show who the most restrictive ruckmen are and who does what against each other. So I know DFS, they have defense by position, and you can see it there obviously, but it only shows the team, not the ruckman used in any given game. So I want to see how ruckmen go against specific ruckmen. So for example, when Big O was out last year, and he's probably, as I said, the most restrictive or one of them, you've then got some of the rucks beating up on Darcy Fort. So it's night and day difference. And I think it's going to be an important one because it's going to expose those who are inflated by beating up on the shit rucks. no disrespect, I guess I shouldn't call them shit rucks, but you know what I mean. And it's really going to let us get a read on the upcoming fixtures for each player. So if we know like who's injured and who's not, who's likely to be the first ruck in the early fixtures, you can kind of plan ahead. So I think it always pays to look deeper this time of year. And doing the research, I feel like you pick up on subconscious things as well a little. Like you just start to get this different picture of each player in your head. But yeah, anyway, before I start getting too nerdy for everyone, I think I'm going to call it a night. So those subs keep rolling in. So thanks again for that. Still loving all the comments too and interacting with you guys. But yeah, I'm wrecked. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's 21st daily video.